Thanks. Hey everybody, here's Maria. Hey Maria, hey Lori.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And actually, I have to slip out early because I have an appointment. So Eva, who works in the office with me, is attending today.
Great. Hey Lori,
Hi.
how are you? Hey Eva, she's here. Hey Anne.
Hi, Maggie.
Lori, not to put you on the spot, Lori Hench, that is, not to put you on the spot. Do you want to talk about pop-up shops last week and tell everyone about that?
Sure. Well, you know what? I could ask you to talk about it too. Put you on the spot. I don't know if Carly's attending or not. Maybe we should wait a minute and see if she shows up too.
Okay.
Because it would be fun for both of us to talk about it together. But if not, I'll talk about it.
Okay. I'm just checking on Ryan. But yeah, there's Stacy. Hey Stacy. Hey Stuart. Many people, two Stacys. Hey Stacy. Oh no, that was you. You just had a different. Many of you know because you are contributors, but the Libraries That Build Business book is here. You may have even received your copy in the mail. Mine came in today. So that's awesome news. That's one of my announcements for today. So for anyone that's unfamiliar, about 30 plus libraries contributed to a book about small business and entrepreneurship in public libraries. So the book was sort of a practical how-to. There were 26 libraries that contributed, like how-to recipes for doing their small business programs, including budget considerations, key staff and partners, a really nice, easy breakdown of how to create a business program in the library. And then other libraries also contributed. There were 4 chapters in the beginning that were sort of about the nuts and bolts of doing this work in your library. So working on partnerships, working with creating a space of equity, diversity, and inclusion in your programs, and then other types of libraries working on these programs or for different audiences. So for example, youth entrepreneurship, the law library, the state library, and then like community college and academic libraries contributed to this effort. So it was a huge team effort. Lots of really cool stuff. I hope everyone gets their copy soon. And I just put the link in the chat to where you can get the book. If you're not a contributor, we'd love for you to read it and let us know what you think. But congratulations to everybody and thank you. And yeah, did anybody else get their book? There's Ryan. Hey, Ryan.
Hi. Sorry, I was a little late there.
No problem. I have a
Very
couple announcements. We were just talking about the book. Did you see the news? The book has been released.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So just a couple other things. So Ryan is our main speaker today from the LA Law Library. Before I pass it over to him, I have a couple of announcements, the book being one. The ALA annual is coming up in June. Libraries Build Business is having 2 sessions there. One on Saturday, that's a panel discussion, and one on Monday, that's a News You Can Use session about creating self-paced business programs in your library. If you're coming to annual, come see us. It would be great to meet up. So let me know if you'll be there. It's in Washington, D.C. this year, and I'd love to see you. Is anybody planning to come?
I used up all my budget for PLA. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Julie and I are definitely, and Carly, I believe, are coming to the book launch. The book,
On Saturday.
the book party. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Great. And then my last announcement, oh, Lori Davis, are you?
I'll wait for your announcement.
Okay. My last announcement is that we are continuing with Libraries Build Business peer coaching this year up through about October of this year. This is a free resource where you can connect one-to-one with one of our Libraries Build Business peer coaches to talk about deepening or expanding your business program, or maybe getting a new service off the ground. It's fully customizable, so you're able to kind of meet when it works for your schedule. So most people do like a monthly basis. They check in with their coach. I'm going to drop the link to the request form there. So if anyone's interested, or if you know colleagues that might be interested, definitely fill that out. We have actually, I think we have some availability now, so I could probably match you with a coach right away if you were interested in that. But like I said, that'll be ongoing through the fall. So definitely check that out and send it on to other people who might be interested. But we're excited to be offering that opportunity again this year. So before we pass it on to Ryan, does anybody else have announcements? I think Lori from Baltimore has something, and Lori from Lexington had her hand up earlier.
I have one too when
And Nate does.
Lori's done.
Okay. Let's start with Lori Davis.
Hi, I'm Lori Davis, Lexington Public Library. I am still fairly new, workforce development manager since January here, and I'm looking very eagerly at the peer coaching. So I appreciate you placing that in there. I just wanted to introduce myself. I met you at PLA briefly with thousands of other people. So I was just really glad to be at the presentations, and I look forward to learning much more in the group. So hello to everybody. Thanks.
Lori, thanks so much for joining us. It's really nice to have you. And yes, definitely, please fill out the form for coaching. A couple of our coaches are here today, so they can attest to how cool the experience is, both for the coach and the coachee. We would definitely encourage you to sign up for that. Lori, do you want to tell us your news?
Sure. I'm Lori Hench. I'm with Baltimore County Public Library. And we just had our, let's see, I think it was our fourth pop-up shop experience, fourth. The pop-up shops are a small business initiative that we started doing as a way to support Small Business Saturday. We started them before the pandemic, and we had 3 branches participate, and we sort of aimed it as a way for our our Entrepreneur Academy graduates to be able to participate in a retail experience at basically no cost to them. And it was the first one we did was a great success. And then of course the pandemic came, and that was the end of that for a while. And we started it, I guess we started it up again in the fall of 2022. And it was super successful again. We expanded it to 5 branches, and based on branch feedback and our vendor feedback, everybody kept saying, why can't we do this more than once a year? Let's do it in the spring. So we did just try it in the spring, and it was a lot of fun. Again, we did it at 5 branches. We had anywhere, I'd say, from 10 to about 18 vendors per branch. We had Megan came down up for it. Megan came up for it and got to travel around to a couple of our branches with us. We're still getting feedback from the vendors. We survey them when it's over to get their feedback. So far, it's been by and large positive. You know, some of the vendors really made some big sales, had some impressive sales figures for them. And, you know, again, they appreciate the fact that for a lot of these folks, they're micro businesses, and they appreciate the opportunity to be able to sell at no cost to themselves, because we do allow them to do it for free. We don't charge for a table. We don't charge for space. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was glad to be able to participate that day.
And I actually I have sitting beside me, if you can see this is like a soap in a little scrubby bag that you can use. I bought this from one of the vendors, And the reason I know it probably doesn't look like much holding up this little tan bag in the video, but it smells so good. I promise you that if you smelled this soap, you wouldn't even ask what was in it. You would just say, can I buy that?
I bought some cards that were for like to give to your entrepreneur friends or other like small business friends. So maybe you'll get one of those in the mail for me. But yeah, from a cool card maker person.
Megan, I have a question for Lori. Was this a half-day session, full day? Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the particulars.
What we do it on a Saturday, and so far we've limited it to I think 3 hours. I think we're sort of trying to find our sweet spot in terms of time. For the first 2 pop-up shops, I think we did it from 1 to 4. Some of the vendors thought maybe we would get more people over the lunch hour. So we tried this one from 11 to 2. And what we found at some of the branches was it seemed like more people were coming in the afternoon, especially like around closing time. So we may not do it again in the morning. You know, it's kind of hard to find, you know, what time spot is the best. We may end up extending it to 4 hours. Some of the vendors said they'd rather be there for longer. And that, you know, really is basically a, you know, no cost to us either. So we'll probably try expanding it. We had absolutely gorgeous weather for the pop-up shops. And some of the vendors said, oh, they thought maybe we'd get more people if we were outside. But I think that would be hard to do also because most of our vendors don't spend a lot of money on their displays. And I think it would, you know, we were thinking about in terms of weather and also wind would probably mess up a lot of the displays that were there. Like, for example, Megan talked about buying cards and the people who had paper, you know, paper items displayed. I have trouble imagining how that would work. Can I answer anybody else? Diane, do you have any more questions about the logistics of it? Or it does take, I will say this too, if you're ever interested in doing it, it does take a lot of advanced planning. No matter how early Carly, who is our small business consultant, and I start planning this, we always think we could have used another month or 2 between first, between setting it up with your branches and then advertising for the vendors. Inevitably, vendors who respond don't always show up, or when they can register with us and then the branches try to confirm they don't hear anything. So we usually find ourselves going on our waiting list, and that does take some time.
Thanks, Lori.
You're welcome.
I think Nate had something.
Yeah, just really brief. Our local entrepreneurship incubator had their annual awards luncheon today, and I just got back from that, and I am super hyped. The keynote speaker was Jay Bailey of the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurs out of Atlanta, and he was one of the most inspiring speakers on how entrepreneurship can, model and benefit, underserved communities that I have ever seen in my life. If you can get him, Megan, for anything, please do. He's fantastic. Like, legitimately, I'm so excited to do this work after listening to him talk. So I'll post the link to the Russell Center in the chat, but it's worth a look. It's good stuff. So that's it. Anyways, really good stuff.
Awesome, thanks. Anne or Atlas, are you familiar?
No, but we're paying attention. We'll see if we can get him.
Cool.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything they want to share? Anything? Okay. Well,
Megan,
oh yeah.
I had a question. In the beginning, you mentioned you'd be presenting at an event soon. Would you please repeat what that is, and would anyone share the link to register?
Oh, the link, sure. It's the ALA annual conference next month in June. We're doing 2 sessions for Libraries Build Business. So it's an in-person event. Let me pull up the link for you. We have a session on Saturday of conference, June 25th. That's about kind of empowering underrepresented entrepreneurs with business resources at the library. And then on Monday, it's a News You Can Use session about self-paced business programs. So I'll post the link in just a second, and I'd love for everybody to join us if you're coming to the annual. Okay, so I'd love to introduce you all. Some of you know Ryan Metheny from the LA Law Library. Ryan's going to be talking today about the legal resources for business owners and common challenges for business startup, common legal challenges, I guess. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you, Megan. And thank you everyone for coming. There are a couple familiar faces and familiar names among everyone. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about some of the programming that we've put together here at LA Law Library, and more broadly about how law libraries might be able to partner with you and serve your patrons. It's a bit of a mishmash in terms of public libraries across the country. It's very dependent on what your state does. Here in California, as well as in Texas, and I think Oregon, and I'm sure other places, there are county law libraries. So each county, at least every somewhat sizable county has a law library. But I know in other states, especially smaller states, there's really only the main state law library that has public access. But yeah, so just broadly, let me bring up my PowerPoint here. All right. So before we get into questions, I just wanted to go through the introduction that I always give to our business series classes. And let me talk about the business series. This is a 14-part series of classes that we do here at the Law Library. We have a lot of different partnerships that allow us to put this series on with some of the different organizations that serve small business here in Southern California, in the LA area. We partner with some of the local small business development centers. We partner with city agencies, county agencies, and we were fortunate enough to get a financial sponsor in the form of one of the local banks that works a lot with small business. So in a nutshell, this is how I introduce the business series each time we hold it. We hold it twice a year. And these first few slides are just information about our library. Did we send the slides to everyone, Megan? I can send these to you if not.
Yeah, I posted them on Slack. So if anyone heard about this from our community discussion, you saw them. But yeah, I can also, when I send the recording out, I can send the slides.
Okay, cool. So, of course, the first several slides are just information about our law library to familiarize people with it. Since even though we're a pretty large library, I mean, by law library standards, I think we have about 50 employees and a few different branches and partnership locations in public libraries. But we like to introduce people to the law library because not everyone's heard of us. And this is how I introduce the business series. So I frame it in terms of common legal issues that businesses face. And one theme that I harp on throughout the series, whenever I introduce classes, is that there's a lot of help out there for small business owners. I think it's something that people, I'm sure you all find this, but it's something that people seem to try to do on their own, and they just don't realize all the help that's out there. Of course, the federally funded help, like small business development centers, is available throughout the country. And here in our local LA area, we have a lot of different resources as well, both government funded and nonprofit. So I try to familiarize people with some of those. And our series of workshops, of course, we're the law library, so we focus on legal topics or legal adjacent topics, but we also try to give people just fundamental like business knowledge on things like marketing and sales and financial planning. And our first class in the series is on forming your business plan. We have a very good speaker who does that workshop. So we just try to give people all the fundamentals, but also not only give them information, but also resources, right? So the technical information that they're never going to memorize and know all of it. You know, hopefully we give them enough information to make more informed decisions. But then we also give them all of the resources, all the different organizations that are there to help them, and all of the resources at the law library and at their local public libraries that's there for them to fall back on. And we have a class, of course, on contract law. A lot of questions people have, legal questions related to their business, really come down to understanding contract law and what they're actually signing when they sign a contract with, you know, a vendor or a lender or an employee. So we give them some basics on how to read and parse that legalese and how to negotiate contracts. We also, of course, have a class on forming your business entity, which is a pretty fundamental step that most businesses, it's probably advisable for them to do that. So we give them information, you know, just basic information on how to choose their type of business entity, you know, whether it's a C Corp or an S Corp, or most states, I think all states now have something called LLCs, limited liability companies. And there are lots of pros and cons to those. And so we have a local law professor who runs a small business clinic at his law school, and he does a really fantastic job of explaining in you know, layman's terms what all these different business entities do and why you need to choose one of them, what the advantages are, and what the pros and cons are of some of the different ones that are out there, and then what the process is for forming your business. And we have a couple of different classes on different aspects of intellectual property. So any business that, or any, you know, artist or writer who does any sort of creative work really needs to know the basics of copyright and what is protectable and what rights they're giving away to a publisher when they publish something. And often these folks don't think of themselves as small business people necessarily, but that is what they're doing. I mean, they're filing their taxes as a you know, sole practitioner or a business. And then and some businesses, of course, have patentable products too. Most don't, but we do touch on patent law a little bit, mostly to educate some of the people who might think they have a patentable product, but it's actually not. Just about every business, though, has a trademark of some sort. And so we talk about trademark protection. And we also talk about trade secret protection, which is actually quite broad, and a lot of businesses can take advantage of that. Even something like a list of customers is protectable as a trade secret. So we give them some information on intellectual property. And then we cover a lot of other classes in this series too. As I mentioned, we have a basic business model writing workshop, a great speaker who we connected with at one of the local SBDCs, does that workshop. And then we invite representatives from the state and the county and some of the local cities to talk about business licensing and permitting and what's involved with that, and how to work with your local government to get the licenses and permits you need. We have a class on investing and or raising money for your business, rather. It's not investing from their perspective, of course. It's getting money to start their business. We have a wonderful class from a CPA who is herself actually an entrepreneur as well on financial planning. We have a very nice another CPA who does a class on business accounting basics. We have representatives from some of the local state and local governments, again, on government contracting, which is a really good source of revenue for small business. I believe the SBA, and at least in our state, many local agencies and state agencies are actually required by law to give a certain amount of their contracting work to small business. So it's a huge opportunity that not a lot of small business necessarily know to take advantage of. And so we talk about some of those opportunities and what you need to do to qualify. And then we finish up the series with a class on exporting. For any company that makes a physical good. LA just happens to be a really good location for that because we have actually the largest port in like the Western Hemisphere or something in down in Long Beach. So we have a couple different agencies that we've partnered with and speakers we've partnered with to talk about exporting and importing opportunities. So that's basically an overview of the educational programming that we've provided at LA Law Library. And as I said, throughout the class, we also focus on the resources that are available. And I come back in the introduction to every class or rather to some of the self-help material that we have at the Law Library. We offer free access through our website and on site in print to some really great self-help books. They're called the NOLO books. I'm sure some of you have heard of NOLOs before, but there is a NOLO book on just about every legal aspect of running your business, as well as many non-legal aspects of running your business. So we talk a lot about those and how to take advantage of those. And I think in the handout that Megan provided, one of the handouts lists some of the library resources that we raise awareness of, and most of those are actually NOLO books. So that's sort of what we do at the Law Library. We try to refer people as often as we can to the local general libraries, the public libraries, and in fact, our local public library system, LAPL, is very helpful in getting out the word about these workshops each time we put them on. I always bring them a stack of like 500 flyers, and they all disappear pretty quickly. So I'm glad to talk about our partnership with LAPL as well as the local county library system that we have here. So any questions? Was there anything else you wanted me to talk about before I take questions, Megan?
No, that sounds good. It looks like there are a couple questions coming in the chat. I can read those to you if you want, if you can. I don't know if you can see them or not.
Yeah, I do see them. Do you need me to read them out loud?
No, up to you.
Okay, so there's a question. I may read them out loud to myself anyway. Do participants attend all 14 weeks, or can they pick and choose which programs? Yeah, people can come to whichever sessions they want. There's usually a core group that choose to come to every session. And you asked about the certificate. Yeah, so we try to incentivize people to come to all the classes a little bit by offering a certificate to those who attend the full series. They are official LA Law Library business graduates, and they get a nice little certificate that we mail out to them, even though we're doing it virtually now. We set aside a little money to print a nice certificate for them. And someone asked, do we offer notary services? We used to have a notary here many years ago before I was here. But no, we don't. And there's a technical legal reason for that now. I don't remember what it is. So no, we don't, but we refer people to some of the local notaries. There are a bunch around here. We're right next to the courthouse. So are there any restrictions on who can access LA Law Library's resources? No. So you can feel free to refer people to our website. I don't know if the publisher would like me saying this, but there's actually no constraint through our website on who can access the NOLO books. So feel free to refer people.
So you're still doing the programs fully virtually?
Yeah, we're still doing them virtually. Yeah, I'll put the link to that in the chat. It's also in one of the handouts that Megan provided, but I'll put the link in. Yeah, we're still doing them all virtually, mostly because we can serve so many more people that way, and attendance has been a lot better virtually, and we can reach a broader audience. There were advantages to doing it on site, of course, too, as I'm sure you all are aware in your own programming that you put on. We definitely, we did reach some people who maybe we wouldn't have reached when we did it on site, right? Because there is a little divide. But we're reaching more people and a broader range of people doing it. Ideally, we would want to do some sort of hybrid version, but it takes a lot more work to put on a hybrid event, at least putting it on well, or in a way that works and is a decent experience for the people who are there remotely. All right, let me just put this link in. I'm sorry. Okay, remote resources.
Ryan is also one of the authors for our Libraries That Build Business book. So check out more about the LA Law Library in your copy of the book.
Yeah, please do.
Ryan, did you see there's one more question from Diane there?
I did, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. Length of time for each session. Each class is standalone. Participants do not need to attend a previous session to know what is going on in the series. Yeah, they're pretty much standalone. They vary in length from 1 to 2 hours. They're usually around 1.5 hours, just depending on the topic and what the particular workshop leader likes to do. But they are fairly standalone. The material builds on itself a little bit. Most of the presenters refer back to like the business model worksheet that we go into depth on in the first class. And I mean, other things come up frequently that are covered in the first few classes, including like incorporation, for forming your business entity. But really they're pretty much standalone. And in fact, I have to work each time around to make sure the speakers are aware of what was already covered so that they don't repeat things too much.
Ryan, sorry, this is Amelia from Montana. I've been kind of in and out of this meeting, so maybe you covered this already. But do you have like set presentation templates that you use and you give to the person who's speaking and then they kind of alter and change it? Or do they just kind of roll up and they're like, this is what I'm talking about, and then you kind of help massage it so that it fits? I was just curious if there were sort of templates that we could borrow with permission to look at.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to share our course materials. Because it's such disparate topics, I didn't really have any templates to start out with. For most of the presenters, these are topics that they present on fairly frequently. So they already had their own material pretty much ready to go for the most part. There were a couple speakers where I sort of worked on with them over the course of the first few series to get the material or the content to the right level of sophistication for the general audience that we serve here. But that was really the only tweaking I did. And no, we don't use any templates for these classes. We do for other classes we put on different topics, but not these.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll put my email in the chat, and if you want to follow up with me, I'm glad to send you into all the materials we use.
That would be perfect. Thank you so much.
You probably mentioned this, but I'm trying to remember. With your presentations, how many of them are basically general law, or are they mostly tailored to California Like if I were to refer to somebody for copyright, is that something they could get good value out of, or?
Yes. So let me see. I mean, I could go through it topic by topic.
No, I mean, just in general, like if I don't want to like.
I mean, when there is California specific law, they definitely touch on that.
Yeah.
For the most part, though, I mean, these are pretty broad legal concepts. Even the class on like forming your business entity, even though that's all technically California law, most of the concepts, all of the basic concepts are the same state to state.
Okay.
So they would get some value, but you definitely want to let them know that some of the specifics would be California. And a lot of the topics covered are federal laws, so they're the same throughout the country: copyright, patent, trademark.
Awesome.
Yeah, a lot of the tax issues and accounting, that's mostly federal tax. So yeah.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Do others get a lot of reference questions about the legal aspects of business startup, or have you encountered any legal challenges in your library programs?
Yeah, I'm curious to know how often legal issues come up among the entrepreneurs you serve.
I can share that in our Entrepreneur Academy classes, one of our classes is Ask the Experts, and we bring in experts, one of whom is a lawyer. And I can tell you, generally we have to cut off the questions for the lawyer. Once people like get hold of free legal advice, they could be there for hours and hours.
I'm not surprised. Yes.
Yeah. And they have a lot of valid questions, and because they don't really understand the issues, or they think they understand and they really don't. So it's understandable. And I think that we've been trying to figure out a way to maybe have some more classes around legal education for small business.
Oh, sure. Yeah. We don't do this for the business classes yet, but one format that we've been playing with is actually just called Ask a Lawyer, where we have a lawyer come on a different topic like landlord-tenant law or estate planning, and people can attend and just ask whatever their question is.
We've actually done that with Maryland Legal Aid on Facebook as a live stream. And it's pretty fun. Usually the legal aid lawyer will do a presentation, and we did it during COVID several times, and we focused on COVID related issues like landlord tenant issues related to COVID, or unemployment issues as related to COVID. And then we open it up for questions, and they really do get a variety.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think the legal system is one big hurdle to a lot of people starting their business. They just don't understand a lot of the legal complexities involved, and that it can be a big source of I think inequality, because people who have access to a lawyer and can pay a lawyer often end up with a much more solidly set up business, right? Because they have the right sort of corporation, and the investors and other sources of funding that they've gotten are legally sound. So yeah, that's part of what we try to address with this series is at least give people enough information to make informed decisions, even if most of them probably won't be able to hire their own lawyer, at least not early on, because lawyers are pretty darn expensive. Okay, and yeah, you get tax questions, and there's confusion about where they're doing business and probably where they need to get their license or permit. Yeah, so we try to cover tax issues. We don't have a single class related to tax issues in the series, but it's sort of sprinkled throughout with the accounting classes, and our licenses and permits class actually spends close to half of the class on sales tax and sales permits and how that works. And there is a lot of basic confusion about what jurisdiction you are in. A lot of people think, oh, I'm in LA County, so I need to get an LA County license. But for most types of licenses and permits, that's only true if you're in the unincorporated parts of the county. If you're in a city within the county, then you need to go to your local city. So yeah, that's a common source of confusion too. So do any of you refer to a local public law library? Or do you even partner with your local public law library? I know different areas of the country are served more than others by public law libraries.
Yeah. In our case, we're kind of it, like our courts law library closed down and we have the remaining legal collection. However, we don't have any, we have people who are familiar with it, can facilitate it, but we don't have any specific law librarians on staff. So, that may be something I might be reaching out to you anyways, because we're kind of reorganizing our library and trying to figure out how we can reallocate talent to that. So getting a better idea of what you do on a day-to-day basis will help,
Sure.
Run into a lot of the same issues.
Yeah, you might try contacting one of the local law school libraries too.
That one closed down. So,
it closed down too?
Yeah, like we actually had a law library in the city for all of 7 years before they shut down too. Fort Wayne's kind of unique in the sense that all of the law schools are in Indianapolis or Bloomington, so or Notre Dame. So,
right.
So we're it.
Yes, I'm familiar with Indiana. I actually went to Notre Dame. So
okay. So now you know.
I don't think I ever made it down to Fort Wayne.
Yeah. That's a darn shame, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm not surprised you aren't served by a local law library. USC has a law library that we refer customers to. Is that University of South Carolina? A lot of Hoosiers here today. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, even though, I don't know if this is true. I was about to say most academic law libraries, the law school libraries, they generally don't serve the public, but nonetheless, I find that the librarians want to help a lot. So at least to the extent they can. So they might be a good resource to at least ask where to start. If you are looking at expanding your legal collection or putting on more legally oriented programming. In fact, that's something we talk about at the American Association of Law Libraries. That's our professional organization. There's actually a lot of volunteering that happens among academic law libraries to help with access to justice. So I'm happy to try to connect any of you to some of your local law librarians if you're interested. We're a fairly close-knit profession. We don't all know each other, but we all know somebody who would know a person. We're only a couple connections away from everyone else. Our county law library only recently reopened for in-person service, so that was a challenge. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. We were closed here we were entirely closed for not quite a year. But yeah, it was a struggle to transition all of our services to being remote. I'm sure you all went through a lot of that too.
Anybody else have comments or thoughts, questions for Ryan?
Yeah, feel free to follow up with me if you have any questions, or even if you have a particularly thorny legal issue that a patron has, I could probably point you in the right direction. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bad legal information, or unhelpful legal information online, and people don't know how to find reliable sources.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for being here today. Everyone, I'm dropping a 1-minute exit ticket in the chat. If you could just fill that out to let us know about what you thought about the presentation. And then if there are future topics you're interested in hearing about from this group, I'd love to try to, I'd love to get some new ideas about what to talk about in these meetings. So definitely let me know. We've got 15 minutes, so if you want to hang on and just chit chat, I'm open to that. I love to talk to you all, but if you have other things to do, feel free to sign off, say goodbye. Definitely check out the peer coaching, like I mentioned before, if you're interested in that, especially if you're just getting started with a small business program. We would love to support that with our one-to-one peer coaching. If you're coming to ALA Annual, definitely look for Libraries Built Business. We'll be here. We'd love to connect in person. And and go read our book. The Libraries That Build Business, with many of the authors here today, was released this week, and we're really excited about that. So I think that's everything from me. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, and again, anyone who wants to follow up with me offline, I'll put my email in the chat one more time. Maria, feel free to follow up with me. Which part of Texas are you in, Maria?
Austin.
Austin, okay. Yeah, I might have some recommendations for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Texas is a little bit better served by public law libraries than most states. So yeah, I'm sure I can refer you to some folks.
Yeah, and I'll send out the recording and the materials maybe tomorrow, later this week. So you'll have all of that to connect with Ryan or take a look at the services the LA Law Library provides for business.
Cool. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.